This week I started focusing on the first level of the game, along with improving the movement system and experimenting with new HUD ideas. SCØUR is a fast-paced Biopunk FPS where everything is made out of flesh instead of metal. I'm going for the ultra-cool style combat and visuals mixed with the disturbing Biopunk world of Scorn. I started planning out the flow of the first level. The level begins with being grown inside a pot, then falling into a giant flesh waste collection pit after waking up. After that, the player moves deeper into the facility and enters a giant sludge clearing power plant. This section mainly teaches movement and platforming, where the player has to avoid falling into the flesh waste and toxic sludge below. Then the player reaches a small armory section, where the first weapons are introduced. And after that comes the first real combat arena. This is where the player starts learning enemy types and how to combine movement, platforming and combat together. Finally, the level ends with a boss fight to test whether the player understands the mechanics introduced earlier in the level. The boss fight isn't designed yet, because I have no idea how the boss will look like yet. Right now I am mainly focusing on grayboxing the entire level first, so testing and redesigning layouts is much easier before developing the environment. During testing of the parkour section, I came across some player movement bugs and it just didn't feel right. So I decided to improve the movement system. At first I was mainly debugging movement issues, but eventually I switched to using the Unity built-in character controller component instead. And honestly, this already improved the gameplay a lot. The new controller fixed several problems with slope detection, wall detection and grounded movement, but switching to this new system also creates a lot more bugs. For example, the camera snapped to strange angles when pausing the game, the dash sometimes launched the player into random directions, grounded movement became jittery, and wall jumping felt slippery and inconsistent. Most of these issues are fixed now, and a lot of the remaining work is just tweaking values until movement feels right. Once the controller was stable enough, I also imported the main combat arena into the game. After that I started making props for the level. Mainly things like weapon station and armory pieces to make the environment feel more believable. I also experimented with the HUD. One thing that bothered me was that some weapon animations were difficult to see during gameplay, especially the front parts and barrels of the guns. So I made a render texture system that displays the weapon separately on the HUD. Each gun now has its own camera and render layer, which lets the game display the weapon from the different angle directly on the interface. This way the animations and visual effects are much easier to notice during gameplay. This week was less about adding flashy content and more about building the foundation for the first real level of the game. Getting movement and level flow right is one of the most important parts of the first-person shooter. Next up, expanding the level further and make the first combat encounter, adding more enemies to make the combat more vertical, improving player feedback and movement polish, and continuing work on the environment props. As always, if you got ideas, feedback or things you want to see in the game, drop them below or join the Discord for daily updates. You can also follow me on Instagram, and I see you guys next time.